NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
We know how.
This momentous post-election day continues with several battleground states still counting millions of ballots as the 2020 race for the White House still remains undecided. Thank you for joining us for the Nightly Check-In. I'm Catherine Garcia. NBC News projected the Democratic candidate Joe Biden gained Michigan and Wisconsin today, reclaiming a key part of that so-called blue wall that slipped away from Democrats 4 years ago and dramatically narrowing President Donald Trump's pathway to re-election. A full day after Election Day, neither candidate has cleared the 270 Electoral College votes needed to win the White House. Overnight, President Trump claimed victory based on incomplete results.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
I'm not here to declare that we've won, but I am here to report that when the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners. Indeed, Senator Harris and I are on track to win more votes than any ticket in the history of this country.
President Trump's campaign announced new lawsuits, meanwhile, today in the battleground states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia, while demanding a recount in Wisconsin. Right now, Darrell Issa is leading Amar Campa-Najjar in the race for the 50th Congressional District. Today, Issa declared victory over Campa-Najjar. He acknowledged that not all the ballots have been counted, but he said it would be, quote, statistically impossible for Campa-Najjar to win at this point. Issa's camp looked at voter turnout percentages from the 2016 election, and based on this year's voter registration numbers, he believes there are 51,000 ballots remaining, and Campa-Najjar would need a 5.8% margin of the remaining ballots to come out with a win. NBC7 spoke to the folks from Campa-Najjar's camp, and they are disputing Issa's numbers, and they say he is not going to concede until all of the ballots are counted. Today, Campa-Najjar tweeted that he's looking at the returns with a measure of hope and is urging every vote to be counted. He said he would be honored to serve in the 50th. Darrell Issa clearly had a different interpretation of the results so far.
At this point, I consider that the race is over. It is statistically impossible for the outcome to be different. But having said that, he has to do that in his own time. He ran a very spirited campaign.
So we won't have the rest of the counts for the 50th from the Riverside Registrar of Voters and the San Diego County Registrar of Voters until tomorrow. With the early returns in, Assemblymember Todd Gloria has a wide lead over Councilmember Barbara Bree in the race for San Diego mayor.
While there are still votes to be counted, the people of San Diego have given us a commanding lead.
Speaking there at his headquarters this afternoon, Todd Gloria said he's ready to lead San Diego and tackle the major issues facing the city, including homelessness, an affordable housing crisis, and of course the COVID-19 pandemic, which has killed hundreds of San Diegans, cost thousands of jobs, and nearly decimated the tourism and hospitality industries. San Diego will also have 5 new city council members, and if the current numbers stand, all but one member of the council will be Democrats. Even though council races are technically nonpartisan, council decisions have tended to lean toward party lines in recent years, with conservatives regularly outnumbered. The mayor and new city council members will be sworn in December 10th. Meanwhile, Sarah Jacobs has a large lead in the 53rd congressional race against Georgette Gomez. Gomez actually conceded the race late yesterday. Jacobs is a third-generation San Diegan, the granddaughter of Qualcomm co-founder Irwin Jacobs. She was a policy advisor to Hillary Clinton during her bid for the presidency in 2016. She says she's looking to fight for issues regarding climate change, health care, childhood poverty in San Diego. But first up, she says she wants to tackle economic relief from the pandemic.
Whoever the president is, we're going to have to focus on getting out of the current economic and public health crisis. And my focus will be working with anyone to make sure that the families and the small businesses in the district are getting the assistance that they need.
Jacobs will replace retiring 10-term Representative Susan Davis in the 53rd District. All right, let's get a check for you now on your forecast. Here's Dagmar with your first alert weather.
Here's what we're looking at for your Thursday, November 5th. Actually, a beautiful day if you kind of miss that touch of summer, because what we have is a weak, thankfully, weak offshore Santa Ana setup. What that will do is bring you dry and warm weather, so you'll be in that mid-80 mark in the inland valleys, or the coast rather, mid-80s, inland valleys mid-90s, mountains about that mid to upper 70 mark, and the deserts you're looking at the mid-90s as well. So keep in mind elevated fire weather because it's extra warm and extra dry, but still a beautiful day in November.
NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE. Bill Howe. We know how.
Drains clogged or slow? Call Bill Howe today. Whether you need a routine drain cleaning or something more, Bill Howe can solve all your plumbing needs. For a limited time, we'll clear your drains for $82.
1-800-BILL-HOWE. Bill Howe. Because we know how.
A really troubling announcement today by state health officials. San Diego County is dangerously close to moving into the most restrictive purple tier. That, of course, would have a devastating impact on businesses and other places, too. San Diego County's adjusted case rate per 100,000 people is at 7.4. The other metrics are good, but if we stay over a 7.0 case rate for another week, that's when we would move into that purple tier. Today we heard a plea from county health officials for everybody to do their part to try to keep these numbers down. The county voiced concerns about this happening last week and even took the drastic measure of issuing 8 cease and desist orders to college area homes to prevent transmission at big Halloween parties. That worked, said Dr. Wilma Wooten, but she said there really hasn't been any one driver of the cases we are seeing. It's just more people gathering and basically letting their guard down.
The truth is that people are tired of this pandemic, and unfortunately they're letting down their guard. They're not wearing their masks, they're not maintaining the social distancing, and all the other things we've been talking about for these last 8 months. Frankly, we need to do better. We need to do a lot better, and we can do better.
As for our other local numbers, today the county reported 404 new cases out of more than 15,000 tests, so that's a 3% positive rate. 7 new community outbreaks were reported, making for 25 outbreaks in the past week. There were also 3 additional deaths reported. In all, 904 San Diegans have died. The driver who killed 4 people when his truck drove off the Coronado Bridge and into Chicano Park is set to be released early. Richard Sapolio was convicted of driving under the influence. His truck plummeted off that bridge and landed in the park in 2016. Sapolio was sentenced to more than 9 years in prison for vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated, as well as 1 count of DUI causing injury. He has served 2 years and 10 months of that sentence. The Department of Corrections notified victims' families of this early release, citing good behavior as well as its policy right now of releasing inmates early because of the pandemic. The department would not release the exact date when he will be released. District Attorney Summer Stephan strongly opposes this early release, though, and is urging that Sapolio be required to complete the full sentence. Before we go, I want to remind you we have complete election coverage at NBC7.com. You can find all the election results and read how this election might also transform the political makeup of San Diego County's Board of Supervisors, among a lot of other coverage. That's going to do it, though, for now, for the Nightly Check-In. Have a good night.